Another shelf-stable meal to bulk up your emergency food storage plan. Hey guys, it's Jara with Wicked Prepared. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for stopping by to spend a little time with me today. Today I'm going to be putting together another shelf-stable meal in a jar for you. We love these meals in a jar as part of our emergency food storage. They're so easy in a time of emergency to just have a meal prepared that you can grab off the shelf. They're completely shelf-stable for 5 to 7 years if they're stored properly. And all you need to do is add some water and a very brief cooking time usually, and you've got a complete meal. You've got everything you need. You've got your protein, your starches, your vegetables, everything is included. But not only are these really good to have on hand for emergencies, but they're also good for just everyday dinner emergencies. Really busy days when you didn't have time to stop at the store or you don't have a plan for dinner. You really need something quick and easy, and you really want to stay out of the drive-thru, not order pizza, do something that's a little bit healthier and a little bit less expensive. The meal I'm going to make today is going to be a breakfast meal. I don't think I've done a breakfast meal in a jar for you yet. So today I'm going to be putting together a Mountain Man breakfast bake. This is a really hearty breakfast casserole. It's full of potatoes and sausage, eggs and cheese, peppers, onions, all sorts of good things. And we're going to make them all shelf stable and fit them all into one quart-sized jar to have on the shelf. The ingredients that we're going to be using today are going to include some diced potatoes, sausage, cheddar cheese, chopped onions and green chilies that are all freeze-dried, some dehydrated mixed bell pepper, we've got scrambled egg powder and instant milk, and then for seasonings we're going to be using some garlic salt and some black pepper. If you're watching this in November, you're in luck because the sausage as well as the scrambled egg and the instant milk are all on sale during the month of November. As it turns out, the mixed bell peppers from August Farms are also on sale as I'm recording this. Of course, we don't know how long the sale will last on Amazon, but I'll have a link down in the description box along with everything else. And then the materials that we're going to need, all we need today is a quart-size mason jar. A wide mouth mason jar is going to work best. We're going to use a canning funnel to get our ingredients in the jar. And then we're just going to need some basic measuring spoons and cups to measure our ingredients. And that's all it takes. You'll see how fast and easy these are to put together and how quickly you can have a shelf-stable meal in your pantry. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to open up my jar. And the first ingredient that we're going to add is going to be our potato dices. Now these are freeze-dried. I get my freeze-dried potato dices from Thrive Life, and they do have one other product, which is potato chunks, and those are dehydrated. In this case, I'm using the potato dices, and if you use the dehydrated, it would probably change the amounts of water that were needed and things like that for the recipe. So I'm going to be using the freeze-dried. And I'm going to add 1 cup of the freeze-dried potato chunks. Potato dices, I mean. And then next, we're going to be adding sausage. These are freeze-dried sausage crumbles. And I'm going to be adding 3/4 of a cup of the sausage. So there's a 1/2 cup. And another 1/4 cup. The next ingredient is going to be the shredded cheddar cheese. And this is also freeze-dried. So I'm going to use a 1/2 cup of the cheese. I'm just going to give this a little shake and tap, and that helps settle our ingredients down. Now you might notice I'm putting some of the bulkier ingredients first before I put some of the more powdered ingredients, and that's because those powders are going to sift down amongst these ingredients, and it's going to make our ingredients take up less space so we can fit more in the jar. So the next thing I'm going to add is going to be a 1/4 cup of the mixed bell peppers. Now these are dehydrated, not freeze-dried, and because of that, they have shrunk down quite a bit. When you freeze-dry something, it really maintains its original structure. But when you dehydrate things, they break down a lot, shrivel up. So we're going to be able to fit quite a bit more peppers in here by using these dehydrated mixed peppers. These are from August Farms. And I will have links to all these ingredients where I get them down in the description box as usual. Next, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of chopped onions. These are freeze-dried onions. They smell so good. Not having to chop onions is such a blessing. We use these all the time. Now 2 tablespoons is the same as 1/8 of a cup, and I do actually have this little 1/8 of a cup that came with an old set years ago. So I'm just going to use that. But that is equal to 2 tablespoons. And I tell you, these peppers and onions are so fragrant already in this jar. And when it's cooking, you can really smell them. I'm also going to do 2 tablespoons of the green chilies. Now, these are a very mild chili. These are not something that's going to add any heat to your dish. These are a freeze-dried item as well. Now, if you don't like any of these vegetables, you can always change them out for something else. Like if you don't like bell peppers, you could always leave them out and use mushrooms instead, or you could add some spinach, really any variety of veggies that you could put into this casserole. I like it with the bell peppers and onions. I think that's a very classic combination, but you can change that up for anything you like. So now we're going to go ahead and add our seasonings. I'm going to be adding a teaspoon of garlic salt. So there's a teaspoon of garlic salt. Now, I didn't overly season this. In my opinion, this is just salty enough, but it's something that, you know, someone can always add more salt or more seasoning if they want it saltier. We had a couple in our family who did add more salt and a couple who didn't. I thought it was fine just the way it is, but people have varying tastes, so I figured to always season a little bit less is better because people can always add it later, but you can't take it out. And that is one thing with these recipes when you're making these meal in a jar recipes, or any recipe really. I know a lot of people like to make up 10 or 12 of these all at once, but if I'm trying a new recipe, I always try it out first and see how we like it, and that way I can adjust the seasonings, I can adjust the ingredients. If it's something that just doesn't work for our family, we just don't care for it, then I just won't make it again, and then I don't end up with 10 or 12 of these. So if you're going to make this for your family, you can definitely decide if you want more seasoning or not, but for me, 1 teaspoon of the garlic salt was plenty. And then I did add a half a teaspoon of pepper. Now each click of my dial is going to give me a 1/4 teaspoon. So 2 clicks is going to be a half a teaspoon of black pepper. I only did a half a teaspoon because the pepper that we're using right now is really strong and kind of spicy. So if I was using a more mild pepper, I might use a little bit more. Now next I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of instant milk. This is Thrive Life's instant milk because we really like the taste of this, but in a recipe like this, I don't think it would really matter too much what brand you used. You could probably even use the powdered milk from the grocery store, and that would probably work just fine. I did go and wipe my utensil off because I didn't want to get the taste of the onions and chilies into my milk, so 2 tablespoons of that. And now we're going to go ahead and put in the egg, and we're going to put in a cup of scrambled egg powder, which is going to just about finish up this canister. I think I'll have to open a new can. All right, so there we've got a cup of the scrambled egg powder. Now this is where the shaking and tapping is really going to come in handy because we're going to get to work this egg all the way down into the other ingredients. So now you can see that I've actually got a little bit of extra room up at the top of this jar. And so what I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to fill that extra space with some more of the diced potatoes. It's just going to be a couple tablespoons. But it's easier to fit something like that in at the end than it would be to put it all in at the beginning and then have to really worry about getting your scrambled egg powder to fit at the end. Now you could really add whatever you wanted of these ingredients to top it off. Like I like the potatoes because they bulk it up and they're a less expensive ingredient. But if you want more meat, you could add more sausage, you could add more of the veggies, you know, whatever you wanted to top it off. It's just a very little amount, probably about 2 tablespoons. And if you were going to store this for any period of time, you want to make sure to leave a little bit of space to pop an oxygen absorber on the top of this before you seal it up. This is an example of an oxygen absorber. You really only need 200 cc's would be fine for this, maybe even 100 cc's. If you add the oxygen absorber and put the mason jar lid on it, it's going to seal that airtight, and it's going to be good for probably at least 5 to 7 years on the shelf. I'm not going to seal this one up like that because I'm going to prepare this for you and show you how it comes out when it's cooked up. But there is our beautiful jar with all of our ingredients all ready to go. That is just how easy it is to throw together one of these jar meals to have on your shelf ready to pull into service whenever you need it. Well, right now I'm going to prepare this one and show you just how simple it is to turn it from this into dinner. Or breakfast, as the case may be, but we do breakfast for dinner a lot. So I'm going to start by just opening this meal right up. And I'm going to dump it into this Pyrex bowl. And then I'm just going to add 3 cups of water. I've got 2 cups right here ready to go. This is cold water. And you actually could measure your water right in your mason jar if you wanted to. That quart jar holds 4 cups and it does have markings on the side, but I just like to use my measuring cup when I'm home and I have access to all of my things. Because this meal is actually really great for camping. Also, we've done this meal camping. It's been a couple years, but I believe we just put it in a disposable foil pan and wrapped it in a couple layers of foil, and I think we did it right on our camping grill. So I've got my last cup of water, so that's 3 cups of water. Now, of course, if you did not want to bring, I'm going to mix this all together. Now, of course, if you did not want to bring a glass mason jar on a camping trip, you could put this into a Mylar bags instead of a mason jar. And if you wanted, and if you knew it was going to be used relatively quickly, like you were making this up just the week before you were going camping, you could use a regular Ziploc bag, like a freezer bag, like a quart or gallon freezer bag. So I'm just going to mix this up. And once it's all mixed together, which I think it pretty much is, you can see how that looks. I'm going to let this set for 10 minutes just so the ingredients can start to begin absorbing the water and begin to refresh these ingredients before we put it in the pan to cook it. In the meantime, I've got my 8-inch square 2-quart Pyrex baking dish. This is a glass Pyrex baking dish, and I'm going to go ahead and spray this with nonstick cooking spray, and I'm going to set my oven to 325 degrees. So sometimes what I'll do is I will just get up in the morning and I'll dump this into the bowl with the water and maybe go take a really quick shower. Then I'm ready to put it into the pan and it bakes while I'm doing my makeup or whatever, getting ready for my day. And then we have a really fast breakfast. All right, so our 10 minutes is up and you can see that this has sort of thickened up. So it really is the consistency of just scrambled up eggs. And these veggies and meats have started to refresh in the liquid. I do have my pan all sprayed with nonstick spray and my oven is set at 325. It's come up to temperature, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in the pan and get it in the oven. Okay, so this is all ready to go in the oven. It's going to be baking for about probably 35 to 40 minutes. You know how it is with egg dishes. You kind of have to wait till it's set in the middle and you can test that. So I'll see you back when it's done. All right, guys, our dish is done. It's out of the oven and here is what it looks like. It's beautiful golden brown on the top. It's set all the way through. It's nice and thick. And I got to tell you, it smells amazing. This is so fragrant. You can really smell the onions and peppers, the cheese. It smells delicious. So let's dig in and see how it is. All right, so this has had just a little time to cool off. Now, you know, the first piece is always the hardest to get out without making a mess, but there. Look at that. Look at how gorgeous that is. Can you believe that came out of a jar? Okay, I am ready to try it. This is really delicious. Everything is perfectly tender. This is just full of potatoes and sausage, veggies, cheese, and eggs. Everything you could want in a breakfast or a breakfast for dinner. All right, guys, there you have it. Another shelf-stable emergency meal to add to your emergency meal stash. My family loves this meal, and I hope that your family will too. Not only are these jar meals really great for emergencies and busy nights at home, but they're also great to give as gifts. You can put them in a gift basket. They're great to give to, you know, a mother who just had a baby, someone who just had surgery. Instead of bringing them a prepared meal that they might be inundated with, you can bring them a meal that they can prepare whenever they want, but it's really fast, easy, and complete. They're also great to send with your college students or anyone else. I usually get about 4 to 6 servings out of a meal like this. Now, if you wanted to serve more people, you could do 2 of these and put them in a 9x13 pan and have a really large breakfast casserole that would probably serve up to 12 people. I would like to thank you for watching today and spending some time with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure that you're subscribed and click the notification bell so that you don't miss any of our future videos. And make sure to check out this playlist up here where we have all sorts of other meal in a jar ideas. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, leave me a potato emoji down in the comments. I'm Jara with Wicked Prepared. Survive today, thrive tomorrow. We'll see you next time.